Hey and welcome! This time it's just me talking about games, because E3 is currently going on, but most of the press conferences are over. The only one left is Nintendo, which doesn't really bother me that much as I don't own any Nintendo devices. So I decided to make a very quick top 3 list of my favorite games that were presented on E3. So let's just start with the most important part to my gaming experience is competitive play and esports. And from this part, I would say the only or the best game that has potential to be an esports in the future and maybe become competitive interesting for me is the new Quake Champions is it called, which doesn't really had any gameplay, but just showed a quick cinematic trailer. But from what you can piece together from the information you got, it is probably a hero shooter similar to Overwatch, I guess, with different heroes which have certain abilities, it looks like. So I think this is a game which has potential to be competitive, interesting, as I said, but I'm not really sure about it, as when it turns out to be similar to Overwatch, it obviously already has a big competitor in terms of popularity. So I think we're gonna just have to wait and see how good the new Quake is gonna be, but I'm really excited for this one. So my second most anticipated game is, surprisingly enough for myself, For Honor, which is a night combat simulator game, single player campaign, whatever. I don't really know how to describe it. So I did not really expect it to be that interesting for myself, but it looks really cool, and it has a completely different gameplay mechanics. So you have to fight with a sword and have to control from which side you swing your sword and block and all this good stuff with sword fighting. So I don't really have ever played anything that's remotely comparable to this kind of game. So I really want to play it, but I'm not sure how the mechanics work out. It looks really cool, and the story is kind of intriguing, but I'm not sure if it really holds up to the promises. But nonetheless, second most anticipated game for me. So I'm really excited about this one. And my third favorite presentation of games was God of War, which is a PlayStation exclusive, probably, most likely. But this would mean I had to buy a PlayStation as I don't own one currently. But still, for God of War, I think I might buy one, as this is the game that got me into gaming in the first place a while back, where I got the PlayStation 2 with God of War 2, and this really hooked me again into gaming. So I definitely have to check out the new God of War, which is completely different than the three ones before, as it looks different. We have a completely new mythology, as Kratos, as it looks like, is now in the North mythology with North gods and trolls, except instead of in the Greek mythology, which is kind of weird. And from the feel of the game, they presented I think it was a 7-minute gameplay demo or something. It looks really different from the previous God of War titles. So it looks more like an RPG, Witcher style, kinda, with closer over the shoulder look. So it's really interesting, and it looks like if there is a deeper story with there's a little child which Kratos has to teach how to hunt. So from the story part, it's probably better than the three games before, which is already a good thing, as they don't really had the super amazing stories, but rather was a hack and slash game. But I don't really know. We will just have to wait and see how those games are turning out to be. So that's about it. Thanks for watching, and maybe see you in the next one. She's so flexible that it is almost like switching off to another hero without switching to another hero. As you can, at one moment in the teamfight, can stand behind your tank and just shoot your rocket straight up onto the enemy shield. And then in the next moment, when you think it is possible, you go up into the air and try to go into a flanking position, maybe to shoot behind the